Hi, everyone. This is Mr. Jones. Before we start the announcements, I kind of wanted to go over a couple things. Um, the first thing is that, uh, as you hopefully have already known, today is going to be a different schedule. Um, Announcement time is still 8:30. You're still going to have first, second, sixth period classes with virtual mentor time, like you usually do on Thursdays. But the classes are going to be a little bit shorter. The student support time is going to be a little bit shorter. Lunch today, instead of being at noon, is going to be at 11:15, although it's still going to be a full hour. So if you're meeting with a student group, that meeting will probably be at 11:15 instead of noon. But I just kind of wanted to preview with you the reason we're doing this, which is at 1 o'clock today. Uh, it's our goal that everyone in school, whether you're a teacher or a student, um, an EA, student support, that we all have make some time to talk about race and racism. And it is not an easy discussion. It is not a simple discussion. And uh, these discussions that we're going to have starting today and happening every month until June, um, whether we are virtual or in person, um, you know, we have to know that we're not going to solve racism with a few discussions, but we need to have the discussion. Um, I don't think anything highlighted it more than what happened yesterday, which was the grand jury's decision to, um, I guess, only charge one of the officers for the death of Breonna Taylor. And the feeling from a lot of people in the Black community and outside the Black community that justice was denied. Whether you feel that it was denied or it wasn't, it will be one thing that is true is that there are people in our community who are hurting, whether they are because they identify as Black, because they identify as Black women, because they have had negative interactions with law enforcement, whether just the mere mention of death triggers, traumatic deaths that they have experienced in their lives with loved ones. Whether this triggers some sort of reaction to gun violence. There is no overarching, one reason why people might be in a really difficult spot, both yesterday and today, and going into the future. But I think that's why we need to have discussions like the ones we're going to have this afternoon. Historically and habitually, our school, our city, our county, our state, our country, our world uses this time to run away, to not talk about it, to figure out ways that we can avoid talking about it or pretend like it's not happening or it hasn't happened before. This is now the time that we need to remind ourselves not only is it happening, but it's happened so many times. Some people are just numb to it. You might, if you have a friend who is Black, or if you're Black yourself, you might not feel a certain way about it because it's happened so many times. It feels almost like any other day. And that's another way people react to trauma, is that they just become numb to it. So before we start the announcements, and as we go through the schedule today, I know people are going to feel, students and maybe even some staff might feel annoyed about the schedule, because it's a change in the routine on top of all the other changes we've had to endure as a community because of COVID-19. And it could feel inconvenient and it can feel uncomfortable going into this discussion. And it will be the easiest thing to do would be to shut off our screens or to just opt out of this discussion. But we cannot call ourselves educators, and we cannot pretend like this is an attempt to try to uplift not only the intellectual intelligence, but the emotional intelligence of every student at West High School. We would be lying to ourselves if we pretended that today was like any other day, or we used excuses to avoid this conversation. So I just wanted to let you know that if you want to opt out of this conversation because you identify with Breonna Taylor, and this might be just too crushing of a discussion today, we understand that, and no one's going to drag you to this discussion. But I would ask our larger community, specifically our white community, specifically our privileged community, and we know we exist in a privileged community here out West, that instead of trying to shy away from the discussion or to make excuses, let's meet this challenge head on. If for no one else, then for ourselves, because this is not going away. It's just not going away. And you know it's not going away, and I know it's not going away. So let's not pretend otherwise. So let's have a good discussion today. If you have, for the previous 3 weeks, not put your camera on during your 6th period class, today might be the day. And I hope you do. Just because we need to see each other's faces. We need to know each other a lot better. And there are going to be students and staff who are going to speak on that later today. And I just hope you have an open mind and an open heart and some open ears and do some listening. And then you can speak your truth. And hopefully we can get along a better path than the one we are on now as a country. So I hope you have a good Thursday. I hope there is some comfort in today if you're in pain. And honestly, I hope there's some discomfort for those of us who are usually comfortable. Because, we need to understand each other. So without further ado, here are the announcements, and hope you have a good remainder of your day.